Okay, got a little issue with the furnace, so we're going to do a little repair work here. Came over and the house was 45 degrees. Garage smelled like gas. So I called the gas company out, had all the fittings checked, everything checked out okay. But I think what's happening is the inducer motor here that creates airflow basically up the flue to carry the carbon monoxide out is not coming on fast enough, and basically what it does is it creates this airflow, which creates a suction that you can see this hose. When it creates a vacuum basically, and will activate this switch, which will then tell the main computer board up there to light the igniter, which is underneath, down underneath here. So basically it sends a signal and sends gas down this small line to the igniter, lights the igniter, warms up, then it tells the main valve to turn on, which comes out of this line and fires up the furnace. So that's where we're at. I'll be pulling this out to check it out, see if there's any debris behind it blocking it. If not, the motor is going to need to be replaced. I'll have to find that. This is just a cooling fin for the motor itself. So, but there's a squirrel cage fan inside this, inside here, that we're going to check out. So what I'm going to do is, I've got 4 screws here, I believe. Yeah, there's one there and one back inside there. So that I'll go ahead and pull that out. So I've already turned this off, and we'll get that pulled out. We'll take a look at that. All right, we got those 4 screws released. Now we're going to go ahead and pull this out. And you can see that needs a good cleaning. Lots of debris in there. Probably used to clean that out, but there's no bird's nest or rat's nest or anything like that. That's a good sign, I guess. Which is probably telling me that this is pretty bound up. It doesn't spin very freely, so we'll probably try that. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can fire this up and see if it'll turn. See, that fan's not even going, and it's supposed to be turning. So let me try that one more time and hand. Let's see if I can do this where you can see it. Yeah, it's pretty dead. It'll get going if I try to get it going, but I just kicked that door switch off so that it doesn't come on. So we'll turn the power back off. That's having a hard time getting going, and it's not creating enough vacuum inside there to activate the vacuum switch. All right, we got the part out. This is it's on the outside normally. This fan's just to cool the motor. On the inside of your furnace, this squirrel cage is what creates the airflow up the flue to exhaust out your carbon monoxide. And looks like what normally happens, the reason you get this is because you don't change your filters often enough. Alright, so we're going to change this squirrel cage. Basically, I'll be pulling this little Allen screw out, see if I can get that squirrel cage off so that I can get down inside here to take the screws off, to take off this whole mounting plate. So we're going to replace this motor, this fan, this squirrel cage, but I still need to use this whole mounting apparatus to put it back in. Here's my new motor. This is what's going to replace that. So this is the new squirrel cage, all shiny clean, ready to go. So we'll get that put together here. First thing I'll do is take off the squirrel cage fan here, and we'll show you what I did. Okay, so sometimes you'll have a hard time getting that shaft, getting this off the shaft. So what I did was I just ran a hacksaw right down in between there and cut that so that this shaft can get off and we can get on with our business here. So this needs to come off, so we'll take these 3 off, and then that'll separate this panel from this panel, and we'll be able to get to the screws that are down inside there. So that's next. Okay, so we're taking off these 3. Already loosened these up a little bit, but these will come off. Actually, I don't need to take it all the way out, I guess. This one down here has a ground wire coming from the motor itself, so you got to remember on the new motor you're going to have a ground wire, and that's going to need to be mounted in the same fashion there, so got to be sure and do that. So I've already loosened these up. I can just pull those out now. There's that ground wire there. These are not originally finger tight. I loosened them up. And I'll just take this one out too, just so it doesn't fall out on me. It's stuck in there pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it. I'm going to see that I can get in here now. Take these 2 pieces apart, and now we'll go ahead and undo these 4 bolts that hold the motor in. Alright, so we've taken these 4 screws out, and that allows me to separate this from the motor, and we'll remember how everything goes back together there. And this is what we're replacing, is this motor. So we'll take a little closer look at this. I think I'll take this gasket off and put it on the new motor too to kind of reduce vibration. We'll go ahead and, this is normally held on with a little bit of adhesive, but I can peel it off, and you can see that we're just gonna place that one back on here, and we'll start to reassemble this again. So, all right, so we're basically just gonna take this bracket. I'm kind of doing this one-handed. It's gonna come off the old motor and go onto the new motor, just like this. Now we have it on the new motor. So I'll put these 4 screws on and get that tight. Okay, one thing to be mindful of is that the screw holes on this are, the old one, you can see the threads in there, but these are not threaded holes. They are being used with a self-tapping screw. So the new one, when you put it on, you're not going to see threads inside the holes because you're using a self-tapping screw, and you can tell that by the little groove cut into that screw there. So just be mindful of that. So this is what the new motor and fan assembly looks like mounted to the old plate. So new wiring harness, same fitting that goes into my furnace. And then this will be mounted to the back. This is actually a fan that helps cool this motor as well. So now we just need to go out and install this back into the furnace and see if the alignment's good and everything. We're gonna double check this and make sure that it spins freely, and then we'll gasket goop it up and put it all back together. Okay, so one thing to pay attention to is we want to make sure that the distance that this is away from the bracket is the same as what you took it off on the other one. So before you take the other one off, do a measurement of the shaft here and how far it is, and maybe you can even back it up with a measurement of how far you are off the back plate. Because when you put it back in your hole up here, you want to make sure that you're going to clear those surfaces in there. So make sure that's good. I'm going to do a little cleanup in there and make sure that's clean as well. Alright, so I've cleaned it up pretty good. This is where we're going to put the gasket goop. You need to use a high temperature gasket seal. Alright, got a good bead of gasket goop around that thing. You want to put it around each screw hole too to make sure you get a good seal. This is going back in there, and I'm going to use 2 hands, so I'm going to have to put it down for a minute, so hang tight. You can see all the particles that I pulled out of that opening there. All right, so we got everything gasket gooped in there, and see a little bit of it oozing out around the edges there, but I don't crank it down hard. I let it sit for about 20 minutes or so, and then I'll come back and torque those to spec. And then also put this cap on the end. This is the little fan cover. You find the flat spot on here, and then match it up with the flat spot on the wheel, and then you just push it on, and then push this little keeper over the top to keep it on there. So when we fire it up, we want to make sure that it's rotating in the correct direction. I got the correct wiring harness mounted that matches the inside here. There's a connection there in the center, so we'll be connecting to that. So let's see if I can. It's kind of hard to hold the camera and do it all at the same time, but I'll give it a shot. Okay, you can see where the white connection back there, that was the plug that came from down here. This is just gasket goop on my fingers, but got that connected, and make sure you push it up all the way to where it's nice and snug. Now we're going to test this out. Alright, we'll do a little test on this, see if it's going to work. Waiting for the thermostat to drop just a little bit, and we'll see if everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. First thing that's supposed to happen is this induction motor is going to come on to create some negative pressure inside the plenum, which is going to create a vacuum. There's the first one. So induction motor is going, vacuum was set. Looks like we got our pilot flame was lit by the spark. You can hear the spark sparking. And then the valve should make another little noise to release the rest of the gas down into the system. Right now it's just this pipe is getting gas just to light the igniter. So the spark lights a little igniter, and then when there it is, now the valve's opened up. Now the gas comes down this pipe. It's pushed into the plenum, or into these jets, and it lights up. So everything seems to be working good. Repair was not that hard. We got her going. Off to the next challenge.